Now, what if I actually told you that you could go from 0 to 100K MRR in just 90 days, all with cold email? Now, you're probably thinking, like, how, right? And when I say you can do this, this is without no paid ads, no fancy AI tools like Clay, although that would have made things kind of more interesting, I would say, and no complicated funnels as well. All you need to achieve this is grit, volume, and kind of a highly optimized AI powered outbound strategy that actually turns your cold leads into warm buyers, all done on autopilot. Now, an example of a company that's actually achieved this is ListKit. Now, who are ListKit? ListKit, they are a B2B data provider with 500 million plus triple verified B2B contacts. Now, they're competing with the likes of Apollo, Zoom Info, and like traditional list building methods. And when they were going from when they were going to 0 to 100K MRR a month, the one channel that they used to scale, obviously they use multiple channels now, but the one channel that they were using to scale is a mixture, if I'm being honest, is a mixture of content, but mainly it was cold email. That's what was the main driver that actually took them from $0 to 100K MRR in just 90 days. Now, this is a perfect example of using outbound sales at scale. They were combining high volume outreach with personalization and automation at the same time. Now, the method that they were using to do this was a lead magnet outbound strategy. Obviously, they used a mixture of the lead magnet and the cold email. Now, the lead magnet is what allowed ListKit to engage buyers and get people interested in what they were trying to sell. It meant that people that were responding, they were high intent because the lead magnet was a direct kind of route to their paid product. And it also was a way to get people on a call because for them to deliver the lead magnet, they had to take a call with them. Genius, right? Now, why does this work? Cold email in general, the best way to make any, in my opinion, not even just cold email, um, any marketing method, your whole goal is to get people to raise their hand and say yes. That is it. First and foremost, that's the first thing you want them to do. Because once you get them to say yes, you can get them to say yes again, and with higher commitment with each yes. But my point is, with the lead magnet strategy, it's easy to say yes. Unlike generic other cold email offers, which is like, oh, jump on a call with me, or um, can I take you out to, I don't know, just have some coffee. These things, they're high, they're high in like they're high activation energy. It's a lot of energy to jump on a call, even if it is only 15, 30 minutes. It takes a lot of energy, right? But saying yes to something that is inherently valuable to your company is very easy to say yes to. So what they did, they offered a free sample of their service. Like I said, it's a direct route to their paid product. They offered free leads, So instead of pitching a sales call, they were providing instantaneous value, which is 10 times better, right? As someone that's pitched in the inbox and does pitching in the inbox, my preferred method is always to lead with value first. And the second reason why this is, it was a fantastic way to kind of deliver and well, as a strategy, right? Is the CTA is low commitment. Can I send you some free leads? It's way easier to agree to some free leads than would you be interested in a call? Once the prospect says yes, like I said, they've said yes once. Now they're even more committed. It's easier to get them to say yes again, but you need to get them to say yes first, then their lead, and then by my definition, the way I see leads is that you can follow up with them again and again and again and again until the end of time. Third reason why it worked is that they automated their pipeline generation, which means there's infinite scale. Once a lead enters the funnel, they had built a follow up system that would automatically follow up on their behalf. So typically, although I would argue that, manual follow ups outperform, well, I prefer manual follow ups, right? You can get more granular, you can do a bit of research before you follow up, make it more human. But their strategy was just just scale, right? They were doing around, I think, 10K emails a day. And it's just impossible to follow up manually with that kind of volume. But they built a nurturing system that automatically follow up on their behalf, um, with multiple touch points, pushing for the call. So once they had agreed to the leads, they imported every single prospect that agreed into their nurturing sequence, pushing for the call for them to present the leads to them. And as I said, like the leads saw, or the prospects saw immediate value. So instead of promising like our data is the best, ListKit's approach was see for yourself. And this process, it builds trust, it builds that proof of value before the demo call. Or yeah, well, yeah, it builds that trust and value for the demo call, because it's like they're putting they're putting themselves on the line to basically prove to the prospect that, we're so confident in our product that we're going to give it away to you for free. And like I said, this is all without using tools like Clay. Although like Clay would have made their whole system an absolute powerhouse, probably would have increased conversions um, tenfold. But this is just an example of the kind of results that you can actually deliver and achieve with cold email when it's done correctly. And ListKit is a perfect case study of that. And you can actually watch this video. Christian, he's one of the co-founders of ListKit. He breaks down the whole case study in a lot more detail, including the strategy. Please watch the video; it's fantastic. Now, as I said, this is great and all, and volume definitely negates luck. But how could we amplify this? How could we make this better as we approach 2025? Like, yes, you can still run volume and still get the results, but it's just not effective. We have deliverability issues. There's a lack of trust in the market. Things are just not the same. So how do we deliver these results in 2025 and beyond? Before we get into that, I just want to go into the science of a high performing cold email, because it's just so important. The cold email game is a game of psychology. You're reaching out to people who didn't ask for your email, so you need to make them want to reply. If you don't have the ability to make them want to reply, you're going to have a bad performing campaign. High performing cold emails, they tap into human behavior and psychology. They do this in three main ways. They trigger curiosity, they offer immediate value, and they make the next steps, which is typically a demo or sign up for a free trial, effortless. It should be absolutely easy. Nick Abraham spoke about a method that he used for one of his SaaS products, where he made the next steps to onboard effortless. I believe his approach was basically reaching out, saying that he's already made an account for them on his SaaS product, and kind of pitching or giving the value proposition and saying, "Would you like to use it? Here's your login details." Reason why it's so great is because it's free, fast value. So he's basically offered a free trial, but they don't even need to sign up. All they need to do is just log in and test it. Very, very powerful. Because obviously, somewhere in the email, he's triggered that curiosity. He's offered immediate value. He's basically said, like, you can use it for free. And he's made the next steps feel effortless because he's already created an account for them. And it's possible that he made some sort of like trigger, like when the positive response happens, it automatically pings to the SaaS where the emails um automatically created like a profile based on the positive response. Because I doubt he was doing it beforehand. Because if you're doing it at scale, it would be a lot of kind of it would be like a lot of computing power. So I assume it was done once he received the positive response. But either way, it's it's fast value, right? And frictionless. So the best way, as I said, to craft a cold email is first and foremost identifying the target audience. You need to trigger that curiosity based on the target audience and the research you would have done. You need to offer immediate value, make the next steps effortless, and optimize for the positive response. That is it. If you do these three things, there's no way on earth that you don't have a well-performing cold email campaign. Now, here are the four factors of cold email success. Now, it's relevancy, timing, personalization, and clarity. So relevancy. Do they care about what you're offering? Do they actually care? So for example, in my solution, I have no business. Obviously, I sell marketing and sales automation. I have no business speaking to HR. So if I was to like target someone and their job is HR, or they're within the HR department, I'm wasting emails. There's no relevancy. There's no relevancy. They do not care about what I'm offering because it's not their concern. It doesn't make their job easier. Now, timing. Are they in the market for your solution? If timing is important, right? Because, like, for example, if I'm reaching out to a founder and they're in the process of exiting their company, or yesterday they exited their company, they're not in the market for my solution. They exited it. They don't care. They've made their millions. Like, they're happy. They don't need marketing solutions. They just left the company. Personalization. Does it feel like a generic blast or genuine message? This, I would say, is more specific to those that are using templates. Now, there's loads and loads of templates all over social media, whether it's Twitter and LinkedIn, and they all follow a very, very similar structure. Now, within that, you need to find a way to, one, not make your email feel like it's some generic template, and two, make it feel personal. Make it feel like it's not you automating it. You need to make it feel like it was written for them. And I would argue that the best way to do that, to make an email feel like it's written for someone, is not necessarily personalization. It's a type of personalization, but within personalization is segmentation. If you can segment your list so well, you won't even need AI to make your email feel like it was written specifically for the prospect. Because technically it is. Like, you would have written bespoke copy for each segment. So it would speak out to that specific person, whether it's specific to their tasks, specific to their role, whatever it is. So I would argue that segmentation is the purest form of personalization, but of course you can do things um, um, like do custom scraping and kind of feed that into AI to then write like custom messaging as well. I'm a big believer in that. And then finally, clarity. You need to make sure that your email is short, easy to read, and easy to say yes to. This is important because as a business owner, like, let's say traditionally you're going to speak to decision makers. These are busy people. They have a lot on their plate. So you need to make sure that your emails are skimmable. And within that skim, they should be able to get the inherent value of what you're trying to offer them to make them reread it again properly. Because that's how traditionally, like, I don't know, I think you need to see for yourself, right? My inbox is just as busy as everyone else's. So next time you get a cold email, see what you do. You just skim it. You see, you read bits and bobs from each line. Now, you need to make sure that your emails are skimmable, but skimmable in a way that they can still understand how valuable it is that you're offering, which will trigger that positive response. The number one mistake that people make is they send irrelevant, self-focused emails that ask for way too much upfront. I recently received an email for someone pitching me some sort of IT solution, and they asked me to meet them for coffee. Now, I believe I like in-person meetings, right? Because it shows how much you are willing to put into their business. But the problem with this email specifically was that they were located. I did some research on them. They were located in Manchester. Like, I'm in London. Like, Manchester's like hours and hours away. There's no way on earth that I'm going to travel hours just to have a meeting with you, to then be pitched for you to then take my money. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, make sure you're not sending irrelevant emails, and make sure you're not focusing on me, because people don't care about that. They care about themselves, and they care about how you can remove pain and get them to their desired outcome. That's what they care about, and keep that in mind in your copywriting. Finally, you need to remember, when you're writing your copy and you're designing your emails, you need to focus on the 3-second rule. as I said earlier, people scan in 3 seconds. You need to make sure your emails are skimmable. If they don't get it within that skim, they will ignore you. Confused prospects do not buy. That's why your emails, first and foremost, should pass the 3 second scan test. And I would even say the 3 second understanding test. So typically, when writing a high performing cold email, you have your first line, which is personalized and relevant, never generic. And this can be pain points, it could be a trigger. But the point is here is that it's not generic. It will be specific to the person you're sending emails to. Next, the body is simple and delivers a clear offer. The word limit, no more than 100. I would even argue no more than 75. And the CTA is low commitment and easy to reply. I personally never give hard CTAs. I only give them in the follow-ups. So a hard CTA is meet me for coffee, or the hard CTA is, come chat to me on a 15, 30-minute call. I only ask for these things in follow-up once I've got a positive response, because once you have that positive response, like I was saying earlier, you can keep pushing and pushing that commitment. Or actually, I can make a video about kind of buying psychology. If that's something that you want to look want me to cover, just let me know in the comments and I'll make a video on it. Now, the highest performing outbound types. I don't know if you watched my previous video or one of my previous videos about how to build kind of outbound campaigns. I mentioned 3 different types. For this video, we're going to be focused on trigger-based outbound and inbound-led outbound, and not full-time outbound. I covered that in the previous video, and what I'll do, I'll put that in the comments for you to watch. But we're going to focus on the highest performing outbound types, or quote unquote the easiest, once you understand how to do full-time outbound. So yeah, this graph is basically showing you the comparison between outbound campaign effectiveness based on relevancy and the conversion rates, and how kind of relevancy impacts conversion rates. Now, the most effective is inbound-led outbound. So this is because it's highly targeted. These people, they've visited your website, they've possibly looked at your pricing page, which means that they're solution and problem aware and aware of you. They're aware of your existence. Often these people also are going to look at like kind of your social platforms and social signaling led outbound. I guess the similarities between kind of inbound led outbound and trigger based, because you can use social triggers as a strategy as well. And I guess that is a trigger type, but I would define it within inbound led outbound. But my point is that inbound led outbound is website, visitor identification, and social as well. But I'll talk about that in more detail. Trigger based outbound is less effective because although they are problem aware, that doesn't necessarily mean they're solution aware. And what I mean by this is, for example, if someone is in the market for PPC, yeah, so Google Ads, that means they're problem aware and they're aware of someone else's solution. Now, I would pitch them that my solution is the better one. So at that stage, they may be problem aware because they're hiring for a paid ads person to help them scale their company, which means that they've identified that the problem is the fact that they need to scale their company. The solution that they've chosen at the moment is paid ads. Now, I would come in and say, hey, paid ads are expensive, also unpredictable. You can't really get the targeting as specific as you can in outbound. Outbound is the solution for you. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, solution aware and problem aware, just they're different in essence. Someone could be aware of a problem and they may already think that one solution is better, and sometimes they may be aware of a problem but they don't even know what solution is better, and that's where we typically would use cold email to slide in and solve that problem for them. But yeah, full-time stays at the bottom. It's the least effective because it targets a broad audience, but I would argue that you can get a similar, if not better, impact purely based on your scraping strategy. So depending on how good you are at scraping and how creative you can be, you can go from like here close to trigger-based outbound. Like, I would even say like possibly like matching it. Because for example, like if you were selling some sort of AI solution, some sort of AI agent and back-end automation solution. Now, if you could find a community of business owners that are actively engaging and speaking every day about implementing AI into their business, and you could scrape that list and tell them, look, this is what I offer. Are you interested in this? Imagine how good that's going to perform, because it's super, super relevant. So I would argue that the way you approach full-time, to be fair, full-time is different from what I'm describing. I would say a scraping strategy, I would say falls in between full-time and trigger-based, because it sits here. Because full-time is mapping out your full total addressable market, making sure they fit within your ICP, segmenting them based on characteristics, and then sending messaging. Whereas having a scraping strategy, that's the process of highlighting a specific area or specific group of people, scraping that group of people, and creating a message based on that specific list. So using the list building is the strategy, instead of the segmentation being the strategy, which in essence is full-time outbound. Now, as I said, the focus of this video is going to be trigger-based outbound and inbound-led outbound. However, once again, if you do want me to make a video on scraping, actually I will anyway. So that's going to be coming soon, probably in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe and like, because I'm going to be dropping a lot more videos around how to grow your company with AI agents, with scraping and tech in general. So please subscribe, because I'm trying to make you guys some money here. All right, so first we're going to focus on trigger-based outbound. Now, what is it and why do you need it? Trigger-based outbound is a strategy that automates outreach based on real-time business events, aka the trigger. So this indicates a potential buying opportunity. It indicates that a company is aware that they have a problem, and we are just trying to capitalize on that problem. So instead of reaching out randomly, you're monitoring targeted accounts for specific triggers, and these can be hiring changes, funding announcements, tech stack updates, negative press in the news, basically ensuring that outreach happens at the most relevant time when they need it the most, and therefore they're more likely to engage. Now, the reason why this works is because you get high responses, because it's based on real intent signals. It's more efficient because although cold, they're not as cold, and it's fully automated. So this can run while you're doing your custom scraping, while you're doing full-time, while you're doing any other methods. It can run in the background, completely automated. You don't even have to touch this. Now, the two main ways to do trigger-based outbound, in my opinion, is hiring and funding triggers, tech and market triggers as well. I would also argue that monitoring news is also a very big trigger as well, which I haven't included here. But as I said, it drives relevant, timely outbound, which is more likely to convert into closed doors. In essence, you don't have to build a list manually ever again, which is great. Now, how does it actually work in practice? The first thing that you're going to do, and I do have a clay table template that I'm going to share with you guys, is here. What I'm going to do, as always, I'm going to put all of the slides in the description so you can access it. You'll have access to all the templates that I share in the video, as well as the slides, so you don't have to sit and take notes unless you want to. You get access to everything. But cool. The first thing that you're going to do within Clay is build a dynamic list. So here you would define your ICP, exactly who they are, how they look, how they smell, and you can do this in various different ways. So you can do custom scraping outside of Clay, and build, or even build your list in Apollo. Typically, I love Apollo, but it's up to you how you build your lists. Yeah, you can also build it inside Clay. You can also do it outside and then import it into Clay. It's up to you. But you're going to use Clay to automatically track these accounts in real time for events like hiring, funding announcement, tech changes, expansions. And then we can use Clay to automate the enrichment and personalization. So once the trigger happens, Clay will then, well, first and foremost, what Clay should do is check to see if you already have that data available and when it was last updated. Because, for example, if it was updated within your CRM many months ago, it needs to be re-enriched just to make sure that it's up to date. And then if it is up to date, it will validate it, look for company insights within the CRM. If it have it, if it doesn't, it's going to get the company insights. And you're going to set pre-defined rules for Clay to do. And if it is true, that's when it will then basically send the email. Like you'll upload the lead into Smart Lead and the email will be sent. So yeah, as I said, once it's been enriched, it's going to go into Smart Lead, and yeah, you would have already pre-written your copy, and you'd be kind of ready to go. So let's just have a proper look here. Okay, so this is a table that I built previously. And as I said, like you can source this data. It doesn't have to be from Clay originally. You can create the list outside of Clay, import it into Clay, and then start watching it. But here is this list. I uploaded it myself from Apollo. That's why it says link to Apollo leads. I believe I can't remember what niche this is, but the idea is this: like, look, you've uploaded your list, you've mapped your time, you've uploaded your list, and now you're ready to start watching that list. Now, what you would do, just so you can see it, is click add, and then for this example, we're going to monitor new hires at the company. Okay. When you click add, it's going to ask you to kind of let me just show you. So it's going to ask you to. So in this case, we're just going to monitor hires at a company. We're going to select the list to monitor, and it's going to ask you what filters that we want to add. Obviously, I'm going to go through, and I'm not going to go through all the way and save it, but in this case, for example, I think we were monitoring for accountants. Oh, that's it. It was an accountants list, and we were going to monitor if companies are actively hiring accountants. You can imagine accountancy is a very, very hard offer to sell over cold. But imagine if you was reaching out only to companies that were actively hiring accountants that aren't obviously in the accountancy niche, because it's fair to assume an accountancy firm will be hiring accountants. But software companies, they're hiring an accountant to assist them with their books. Now, if you was a accountancy firm that specifically served software companies, and you were reaching out to a software company that has just posted the fact that they're hiring, think about how relevant and how powerful that outreach will be. Because your copy would pretty much be, I'm an accountancy firm that specializes in serving SaaS companies just like yours. I saw that you're recently hiring an accountant. Typically, an accountant is going to cost you this. We can do that for a fraction of the price. Can I send you, I don't know, some sort of analysis or audit? Nice and easy, right? And this is the power of this kind of style and way of approaching dynamic list building and trigger-based outbound. It can be very, very relevant and very, very powerful. Now, that is it for this example. I'm going to go back to the slides. As I said, you'll get this template within the slides, so no need to just create it yourself. And yeah, let's get back into the video. Okay, and that is trigger-based outbound. Incredibly powerful, incredibly effective when done properly. Now we're going to go to inbound-led outbound. Now, inbound-led outbound is the most effective, and in essence, it's a strategy that combines inbound signals, so that interest, with outbound outreach. Now, by no means is this some new kind of thing, right? It's been done for many, many years. Typically, you create demand through organic strategies like SEO, content, or paid ads. And typically people would opt into some form of lead magnet or form, and then that form would just get dialed by an SDR, inbound led outbound. This is not a new concept. It's been done for many, many of years. But what makes this approach different is we are automating the whole process. So there's no SDR. In essence, we're building our own AI SDR. I hate that term, but I'm going to be using a lot more. So in essence, we're building our own inbound led outbound AI SDR. So instead of an SDR, a human, like a person with flesh calling up, we're putting it through our whole system, through our scoring matrix, our qualifying process, through custom scraping and AI qualification. And then we might be creating some AI custom fields and then putting that through our pre-defined copy into Smart Lead and sending an email. That is inbound led outbound. And once again, the most effective form of outbound. So instead of reaching out to people cold, you target people who are already engaging with your brand or market, making it much easier to book meetings and close these deals. Because as I said, they're problem aware, they're solution aware, they know who you are, they know how you smell, they know what you look like, they know your name. So when you're reaching out to them, it's not a surprise. They're not shocked because they're familiar with you. So the leads are 10 times warmer, so higher response rates, shorter sales cycles as well, because once again, 9 times out of 10, they're already familiar with you. You haven't got to spend that time building rapport, having multiple touch points, because potentially they've already been made. And it feels more personal to them as well. But the main reason why it's so effective is because it's super, super relevant. These people, they've engaged with your social media, they've engaged with their website, maybe they've consumed the lead magnet that you've recently posted. They are solution and problem aware. So there are two key ways to do inbound and outbound. And as I said earlier in the video, it's social led outbound. So this is using engagement signals from like LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're in the B2B space, obviously LinkedIn is number one. Dare I say goated. And the second one, website visitor identification tools like B2B, which track your website visitors. So the first one that we're going to focus on is using social engagement into outbound sales. Now, Triggerfy is not just specific to LinkedIn. They have so many different kind of triggers and signals that you can utilize. But for this video, we're just going to focus on LinkedIn and how to use it in LinkedIn. So typically, you're going to monitor interactions on LinkedIn. Now, you can do this for your own personal profile, but you can also do it for your competitors. So for example, if you're in the SEO niche, you could be watching not just your social profile, but anyone else that's in the SEO niche as well. So looking at their engagers, their commenters, getting that list and then engaging and sending outreach to them. But yeah, so step one, you'd be monitoring some form of interactions on LinkedIn. Step two, you'd be identifying people who like, comment, or even visit your profile or engage on with relevant posts. And then step three, you're going to reach out to them with hyper personalized messaging based on their activity. Now, the worst email that I've ever, not the worst. I think you need to be very, very careful with Triggerfire and using social engagement when approaching outreach because it can be just very poor quality. Now, I remember recently, not going to name and shame, but like a sales coach, I think I liked one of his posts, completely unrelated to his service. And I just liked his post, completely forgot about it, and he emailed me. Oh, so you engaged with my post, thought you could do with some help with sales, la la la. And when he emailed me, I was just confused. I was like, I don't even know who you are, man. Like, and obviously, me being curious, I went and did my research. I went to his profile, I looked at his posts. I liked one post in passing, just social media, like, have you ever just scrolled on social media, just liked something, moved on? You forget about it. Like, literally, as soon as I've scrolled, I don't remember that post no more. And this is why, like, this is, if done incorrectly, it's a bad strategy. Because in essence, you could just be reaching out to people that don't even know who you are, as this guy did to me. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to talk about that more in a second, about how you can stack signals. Stacking signals is definitely the best way to approach this kind of outreach. But an example workflow that you can use in Triggerify, if someone likes or comments a post specifically about a service that you provide, lead generation. That's what drives the relevancy. They may, I wouldn't even say once is enough, multiple times. And that could trigger an AI-based outbound message. So um, another example, someone follows a competitor, engages with an industry-related event. So say if someone likes a post or comments the fact that they attended a industry-specific event and said how great it was, that person, you can reference that event, asking how was the event, like how did you find it? Um, because we do X, Y, and Z, which is a similar service to what was offered in the event. Like it opens up a dialogue because it opens up with a honest question, like how was this event? Like, how did you find it? Because we can actually help you with solution that they were pitching at event. Um, Now Triggerify, I believe their plans start at like around $300 a month or £300 a month. But it's a cheaper way to kind of mimic it. It's by no means is it the same as Triggerify. Like Triggerify is a very, very powerful tool, and as I said, they offer so much more than just kind of comments and scraping likes. They also have social signaling and hiring and so much other stuff. So I'm not comparing this strategy to Triggerify. I'm just saying if you're on a budget, this in essence is pretty much free. Apart from obviously doing the outreach and stuff, that's going to cost you money. But LinkedIn allows you to actually export your connections. Now, if you're actively posting content like I am, the idea is that if I export all of my connections, these are potentially people that have seen my content. They're familiar with my name. They're familiar with my face, and they know that this is what I do. I talk about cold email. I talk about outbound. I talk about AI. So if you export a list, also I've given you the link of how to actually do it. But in essence, you go to the me icon at the top of your. I'm not going to explain it to you. It's self-explanatory. If you want to just do it relatively easily, as I said, you get access to this document. But yeah, once you've exported it, you'll get an email. Once it's ready to be downloaded, obviously you click connections before you've clicked export, unless you want all that extra information. You click download and you'll get like an Excel file. An Excel file looks like something like this. So you get the date of the connection, obviously the newer connections. So I'm recording this on the 14th. This was done on the 12th. But the newer connections, they're not familiar with your content as much. But the older ones, so like if they've been in your connection base for, I would say 30 days plus, they should be familiar, especially if you're posting content. So you probably should just reach out to them. Then you have two options really. You could do some form of manual outreach on LinkedIn, even manual outreach by email or even cold call, or you can automate the whole processes with cold email campaigns or LinkedIn campaigns as well. Obviously, with LinkedIn, you've got the LinkedIn URL, so it's relatively easy. You can upload it to a LinkedIn automation platform. For the cold email outreach, though, you'd probably have to upload it into Clay, enrich it, and then get the email, and then run cold email campaigns that way. That's probably the easiest way. Now I'm going to go on to website visitor identification. Okay, so instead of just sending cold emails blindly, you can also track and engage with people who are actively on your site. So tools like our B2B, they help you see visitors who are on your website. They allow you to they give you the ability to qualify them and reach out to them instantly, and personalize outreach based on page visits as well. So like for example, if someone is visiting your pricing page, you know that potentially they're high intent because they've gone to your homepage, looked at your homepage and thought, how much do they cost? Let's have a look. Which to me is high intent. Or possibly could be. Person visits your pricing page, our B2B identifies the company, or the person. It gets sent to your Slack, or direct into your Clay, or directly sent to your CRM. Clay will then enrich it, scrape it, make sure that they're validated, and then just send that outreach. Typically, you could, for the best results, a cold call is always best. You don't necessarily need to speak about directly say, "Oh, I saw you on our website." It's a bit freaky, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say this. So your team was exploring that solution. Because you don't need to say that. But what this allows you is to start building and stacking signals. But anyway, the reason why this kind of form of outreach works is because they're already in research mode. which means once again they're problem and solution aware, and they're searching on your website as a means to solve their solution, and it's your job just to pitch them. It means that cold emails will feel a bit warmer, especially if it's timely. Imagine if a company or an individual has spent around 5 minutes, 10 minutes on your website, and then 5 minutes later they receive an email. We can help you do X, Y, and Z. Very, very powerful, very, very relevant, and they're more likely to respond because they've already seen your branding, they've seen your messaging. If you've got VSL, they might have watched your VSL. So they've watched your VSL. Then, although the VSL hasn't converted them, then they've received an email from you. It's very, very powerful stuff. But as I said, like, just someone visiting your website alone does not mean that you should reach out. Same with social signaling. Just because someone's liked your LinkedIn post does not mean that you should just reach out to them because they might not remember. You need to stack these signals. Even with our B2B, you should be looking to see, are they visiting high intent parts of my website? Have they read multiple blogs? Have they only visited the website once? Is that enough as a buying signal? Do they have to revisit the website? Or are you combining the fact that they visited your website and then you saw them visit your LinkedIn? They've done two custom actions. Then maybe you can reach out to them. I would argue that's better than just a website visit, or even just like a visit to your profile, just a like on one of your posts. So, like I said, you need to start stacking these signals, in my opinion, anyway. Just from experience, as someone that's received outreach from people using these tools, it's inherently it can seem a bit badly executed because, like I said, I'm not a warm enough prospect for you. But someone that has visited your website, visited your social media profile, and then maybe like opted into a lead magnet, reaching out to that person, I'm highly confident that they're going to close as a client because they've engaged with you so many different times on so many different mediums. And this is, I think, using all of these tools in combination is where like you get that real power, if you have the volume to do that as well. So let's say that we have executed everything, right? And we've sent these emails and we've got positive responses. We've got our leads. Yay. Fantastic. But how do we turn these positive responses into booked meetings? Because that's what we care about. We want to get them on the phone so then we can convince them that we can solve their pain point, and so we can get paid to solve that pain for them. So how do you respond to cold emails? Now, majority of people who say that cold email doesn't work are simply failing at the follow-up stage. They expect that, people give a positive response and they just say, yeah, book a meeting with me. And they book in straight away just like that. And that is just not a thing. It just doesn't happen. The reality is the majority of booked meetings and opportunities don't come from the first email. They come from consistent, well-timed follow-ups again and again and again. And mastering this step is what separates those who actually succeed from outbound and those who give up too soon and then say cold email doesn't work. Obviously, don't get me wrong. Generating the positive responses itself is a task. But generating or converting that positive response into a booked meeting is also a task. And so is converting that booked meeting into a sales opportunity is also a task. It's multiple steps, right? Now, how do you handle cold email responses and follow-ups? First and foremost, respond as fast as you can. I would say respond within 10 minutes. Realistically, you should be aiming to respond within 5. Speed increases response rates, and booked positive response to booked meeting rates by a ridiculous amount. Keep your responses short and direct. And still value based though. Like maybe you want to share a case study, maybe you want to push the lead magnet, but obviously at the end of the day, you need to be focused on moving them to the next stage. You've already got the hand raiser, you've already got a positive response, so you can be a bit more aggressive with your CTAs. As I said earlier in the video, this is at this point, this is where I'm doing hard CTAs. Book a call with me, book a call with me, book a call with me. Sometimes I may put in lead magnets if they still haven't booked a call after maybe 4 or 5 follow-ups. Sometimes I may be showing case studies, but in essence, I'm pushing for the call. I'm a big user of Loom because I believe, and cold calls as well, because I believe it humanizes the responses. Like, yes, I'm big on automation AI, but it's a tool, um, and it's supposed to make our lives easier, but not completely replace us. So once I have that positive response, this is why I believe in manual follow-ups as well. Once we have that positive response, I'm going to do what I can to show them that I'm a human and I want to engage with them. And I actually want their business. I actually actively want to win their business. So I'm going to record videos. I am going to cold call and, pushing every response into Clay, enriching them with tools like Lead Magic, and then pushing them into your CRM to then be called. Very powerful. Um, Cold calling is the easiest way to increase your booking rate. So is voicemail drops, and it's something to address in your follow-ups as well. By the way, John, well, I put I put phone, but by the way, John, I recently gave you a call. I missed you. Um, I left a voicemail, and this is da 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 da. I just wanted to just connect. They're more likely to respond because you're putting effort. Also, connect with them on LinkedIn. If you're posting content on LinkedIn, well, you should be. If you're not, start posting content. But connect with them on LinkedIn. They should see your expertise. Ideally, you want them into your world. That's the whole point. You've got this lead, and they should know you. They should, get them into your world, get them integrated. So even if your follow-ups don't convert them, your content does. They may see your content, and then 5 minutes later, you do a follow-up, and they're like, "Wow, like this guy's genius," you know. So connect with them on LinkedIn. As I keep on banging on, manual follow-ups always better than automated ones, in my opinion. For example, I did a follow-up today, and I saw that in this prospect's bio, they were starting their own venture. And I referenced that because I had someone that was in a similar industry, and I said, look, like, can I make an introduction there? Just providing value outside of kind of even what I'm trying to provide him, like my service. Um, I offered something external that I think would have been of value to them. And guess what? I got a response. So, manual follow-ups just allow you to be a lot more creative, be a lot more human. And yeah, the final one, follow up consistently and never stop. Yeah, I think I got a bit dramatic there, but never stop ever. Once, this is the thing, sometimes I feel sorry for people that respond positively to me because once you're a lead, I'm sorry, you're going to hear from me from out forever. Typically, the way I like to process things is the first 4 follow-ups is every 3 days. Yeah, so it's a bit more, twice a week, pretty much. Um, that's for 4 follow-ups. Then over the next 4 weeks after I've done the 4 follow-ups, I just do weekly ones. And if they haven't converted after 4 weeks, then it's just a long-term nurture. So they'll get emails from me maybe bi-weekly, monthly, in an evergreen sequence, which includes case studies, lead magnets, social proof testimonies, any content that I'm actively posting, and soft CTAs. Like, because I'm trying to re-engage them. I'm offering them things. I may try call them. I'm just doing multi-channel outreach, and just following up, providing value, and just keeping making sure that I'm top of mind for them. So they might not be ready for my service now, but when they are, they know that I exist. They know that I'm probably going to follow up with them. They know that I'm here, and that's the thing. Especially because in this day and age, there's so many different services, so it's so important they stay top of mind. Okay. Okay, now cold email infrastructure. Now this is all great, right? You can have everything that I've spoken about, which is gold. Like, this is like gold, right? Like, if you follow every single step that I've just set out here, you're gonna make a killing. But that is only if you can land in the inbox. So a well-structured cold email infrastructure is the key to maintaining high deliverability, scalability, and inbox health. My current setup is split for diversification and ESP matching as well, when needed. Sometimes I turn it off and sometimes I turn it on. But this is how it looks. It's 30% Google, 30% Outlook, and 40% Mardosa. Um, why I like this is because it allows me to ESP match. It ensures that emails land in the same provider inbox um, as others. It allows me to diversify my infrastructure. So if Google suddenly doesn't perform as well I can use Microsoft. If Microsoft doesn't perform as well, I can use my private infrastructure and so on and so on. And it allows scalability and reputation management as well. This kind of approach to cold email infrastructure, it allows me to do high volume. So internally, we send like 1,000+ emails a day for our internal campaigns. It means that I can reliably land in an inbox, and yeah, it keeps my domain health intact and maximizes my response rates as well. I have a whole video about how to set up Google on Porkbun, or set up Google inboxes with Porkbun, which is the domain provider. If you want to watch how to set up your inboxes on Google Workspace using Porkbun, I have a video here, and I'll also link in the description as well. Now, the role of AI in Outbound. Now, AI is such a powerful tool. Like it's a given. I'm sure that like AI is always over the news. Every single week, there's something to do with AI. And it's a massive part of my workflow and the way I work. I chat to ChatGPT every single day without fail. It's easily my best friend at this point. But to be clear, AI only works if you use it strategically. And we use AI in 3 key areas. Number 1, AI for research and ICP definition. So it helps us if we're working with a new client, and they may help us define the ICP with them, but we may be looking for things like pain points, helping us position the message, because unfortunately we're not experts in every single industry, but ChatGPT can help us do the heavy lifting. So we use it there for our research. We also use GPT for AI custom fields. At this stage, personally, I do not use AI to write all of my copy or all of my client's copy. We use it for very specific fields, just to enhance the personalization and enhance the uniqueness of the copy we're sending. And this helps with things like deliverability as well. But we use it for things like AI generated insights, so to identify how we can potentially help them based on their company data and the client or our company data. We use it for custom pitches, so we can suggest specific outreach angles for each business, and we use it for our follow-ups sometimes. So we will create AI custom fields to be used in the follow-ups as well. Finally, we use AI to create lead magnets. Now, AI allows us to create hyper-personalized resources at scale to drive response rates. So for example, we can use AI to create documentation, to do analysis that other people typically would charge for. And this can be delivered in 5 minutes. And once again, it makes easier for prospects to say yes to our message, and provide immediate value before even jumping on a call with us. So in our copy, we can say stuff like, we created this super valuable, highly custom resource that took us so long to create. Can I share it with you, please? Not okay, without the please, because it's a bit beggy, but can I share it with you? Typically they'll say yes, and then we just fill out like a Google form, or in my case, it's an Airtable form, and then AI will create it and format it, and then we can just send it to them. And let me just show you an example of what this looks like. So the ways this lead magnet works is, so we fill out a form. That data is sent to GPT, and at each step, so for example, this is for like internally, right? This is a lead magnet that we've used previously, but in essence, we're building a full strategy document for the prospect. And we're basically saying, hi, we built this full custom strategy document. It took us hours to do. It's end to end, from infrastructure to copy, but it's really ChatGPT. So it's domains, target market, ICP, pain points for that ICP, ICP generation. I think the order's a bit messed up. Custom scripts, so script writing, pain points in the script, and as you see, and then PandaDoc is what creates it. So we did this all inside PandaDoc. Then we store it inside a Google Drive, which is shareable. We store it inside Airtable because that's where we store positive responses. and then we send a Slack message once it's ready. And then I can just copy the link in a Slack message and send it to the prospect. And all this is done in 2 minutes. What I have to do is fill out the form. That's the longest part. All of this is pretty much done within 60 seconds to 120 seconds. But yeah, the power of AI to create and these kind of documents, companies will charge for. Or you'd have to get on a sales call first, or whatever it is. There's high friction to get access to this information, and we can build it once and distribute it forever, for free if you wanted to, or you could charge for this. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how you can use AI to build like lead magnets. But yeah, thank you so much for reaching this far in the video. And then congratulations. In this day and age, in 2025, people's attention spans they're cooked. So they're completely fried, including mine. So the fact that you've got here and watched all the way through, I want to offer you guys something. So if you're ready to scale outbound, I want to build an entire system for free. So we'll build you your full outbound system, validate the leads, write the copy end to end. You can apply to work with us within the link in the description. And also, as I said throughout the video, if you want to access the slides, please check the link in the description as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys lots. Bye bye.